welcome to Security Noise, Season 8, Episode 4, Con Men. I'm Skyler Tudor, Senior Security Consultant with TrustedSec. Geoff was silly enough to let me run with this episode by myself, and I decided to take this show on the road. Before we begin, I want to mention our Discord server. Do you have a question about cybersecurity? Need a resume review? Or maybe you just want to join the TrustedSec crew in a debate on which toppings don't belong on pizza. You know the one I mean. Regardless of your InfoSec flavor, we have a channel for that. Join the TrustedSec Discord server today at discord.gg/TrustedSec to join. All right. On this episode, you'll meet 3 TrustedSec consultants who've recently given talks at cybersecurity conferences. You will get to hear from each consultant about their talk and key points, as well as their favorite parts of the conferences they attended. While Cybersecurity Awareness Month is winding down, cybersecurity conference season is still in full swing. I've attended West Hackin Fest for about 3 years now, and I gotta tell you, it's probably my most favorite security conference to attend. However, this year was pretty significant for me because I got to give my first public talk. Not only that, but another TrustedSec colleague, David Boyd, a senior security consultant, was also speaking at West Hackin Fest this year. I had a blast getting to hang with the other speakers and the folks at BHIS. And despite some pre-show presentation gremlins initiating me into their first-timers club, everyone involved with coordinating the conference were total pros and made me feel a lot less nervous. So while I was there, I got to sit down with David Boyd for a few minutes and learn about his talk. Now, here's where the episode goes on the road. Check out this interview I did with David Boyd on his talk on social engineering and listen as he flips the script to ask me a few questions towards the end.
Very good.
Okay, we're recording there. Might go kiss upside down in the rain. I think we're good.
Hey everybody, this is Skyler from TrustedSec, and I got David Boyd here, also from TrustedSec, and we are at West Hackin Fest today. Both of us got the opportunity to speak at West Hackin Fest, and so we're just going to interview each other and just see how it goes. So I'm going to start interviewing David. So David, I don't want to give too much away because with West Hackin Fest talks, you know, they're posted, so I want people to have an opportunity to watch those. So just give us kind of the elevator pitch. What are you here?
Yeah, so my talk was around social engineering, the importance of the human element in social engineering, how everything around us is connected, but in order to be effective at social engineering, we still need that human element. However, you could also utilize things like AI and AI tools to help kind of improve and make your social engineering campaigns just a little bit better, kind of, you know, shave off some of the rough edges and kind of help save some time in standing up your campaigns.
Right on. So what are some of the major benefits that you've experienced using AI in social engineering?
Definitely a time saver for one. A lot of, we'll say, correction in some of my coding. You know, I haven't had to, hand code HTML in a couple decades now. So it's nice to have that kind of check and counterbalance of like, hey, yeah, let's fix this, let's fix that, whatever. And then sanity checks is the best way to put it. So sanity checks on everything. Am I steering this in the right direction? Does this look right or whatever? And then it can come back to you.
Kind of like a digital peer review.
A digital peer review almost, before I fire it off or whatever it may be, whether it's email, an email-based phishing campaign, whether it's, we're getting ready to do some phishing phone calls, might help me kind of tweak my campaign, psychological analysis, things like that. And sometimes even on my physicals, I can utilize it to, kind of help tweak a badge or something like that.
Very cool. So was this your first year talking at West Hackin Fest?
This was my first year at West Hackin.
Now, is this your first year at West Hackin Fest?
It was also my first year attending.
Let me get your first year observations. What were some of the things that you loved about West Hackin Fest?
So I love that it is like a family-friendly conference. I hate to cause a correlation with DrrCON, but it did. It had a lot of the DrrCON feel, for back in the day. Mm-hmm. So a lot of great training, a lot of great speakers, a lot of great vendors here. So yeah, great.
Very cool. Yeah, this is my third year, and I really enjoy just kind of like the small, tight knit feel.
This was your first time speaking too, wasn't it?
It was my first time speaking. Yeah, I've not done a public talk before.
Right.
Like, I don't even think I've done a blog in my life.
Okay, so third year at Wild West, first year speaking, first time ever standing up on stage speaking. Mm-hmm. How did that go for you?
It went very well. I had you and our other coworkers that are with us to thank for being in the front row and cheering me on. And making sure that questions were had. And what I liked is that actually did spark other questions in the crowd. And
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoyed the interaction. Again, like I had never done anything like that publicly before. You know,
Okay.
I've done some speaking stuff with TrustedSec internally, and in a past life, I used to do a bunch of like college recruiting stuff for other companies. And so I wasn't unfamiliar with public speaking, but I did have a little bit of, a bit of the jitters,
Yes.
if you will, before getting in front of the Wild West crowd.
Right. And the sign of a good speaker is that you will have those jitters.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if you stepped up on stage one time or 20 times. As long as you still have those jitters, you still have those nerves, then you're going to come in with a little more humility and things, and you're going to be able to resonate with the crowd a little better. So,
Right.
Between you and me, you did, and our listeners, you did a fantastic job. We had several folks come up after and ask him several questions about his topic, which, by the way, what was your topic about?
Oh, so my topic was a case study. It was exploiting AI in biometric pen testing. So, or using AI to exploit biometric pen testing efforts. So it was really about using AI voice cloning to, it was a case study for one where we basically bypassed IVR voice recognition for bank accounts. And so we were able to utilize AI voice cloning to trick the robots into letting us manage real people's bank accounts.
Very cool. Okay.
And the second case study was around tricking live humans into resetting admin passwords, cloning a C-level executive's voice, calling out help desk saying, hey, we're in an active incident. I need you to do this right stat now, and in both cases, we were able to achieve our goals relatively easy and for little to no money, like investment side on an attacking side.
So with your talk being on AI and you've demonstrated a real world threat model to this, do you feel like more organizations are susceptible to this sort of attack?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that it broadens the attack surface for attackers.
Yes.
It gives them just more playing field. That said, it's still a very volatile technology right now using like IVR. But as far as like, what is the threat or risk of just AI being used to compromise somebody? That is the real oncoming threat. That the threat is real, and I'm not trying to be all like doom and gloom, but the talk that I gave showed just how easy it is to compromise accounts, compromise bank accounts with little to no investment made on an attacker's part, and literally just a few hours of reconnaissance can get you as much information as you need to create a very realistic voice clone of your target. So I think it's something that is like, as we are speaking, as of this recording, it is a rapidly increasing attack surface that organizations need to be looking out for.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Last question. With this being your first time speaking, you were offered a mentorship, like a speaking mentorship at West Hackin Fest. How did that go for you? And then do you have any tips for other first-time speakers?
Sure. Yeah. So the mentor program that Wild West offers for first-time speakers was awesome. They hook you up with a veteran speaker or somebody who's really good at, providing constructive feedback. And I got really good feedback. And it worked out really well because it made me feel more comfortable and kind of put some of those jitters at bay. Just getting validated that like, okay, the content that I'm presenting is something that's valuable, is something that people are going to find fascinating and want to talk about. And so, I don't think Wild West would bring a speaker in if those weren't the case, if those attributes weren't there. But as somebody who has not given a public talk before like that, I was still, you still get the anxiety of like, oh, what if my talk's not good enough? What if it's very rudimentary, but I think it's awesome. I don't want to look like a noob. But for the most part, yeah, I felt more at peace, I guess. I felt more zen about my presentation. And it worked out very well. And my advice for anyone else that's looking to submit their first talk, or if maybe they have and they just haven't given the talk yet, drink a lot of water. I got a little bit of dry mouth while I was talking, and really focused on, like, instead of focusing on getting your words out, I focused on my pauses, and I worked on trying to be comfortable in those pauses. As somebody with ADHD, narrow, spicy crowd, it's easy for me to hate the silences. And so that's why you use the type of filler words. And you got to be able to take a second
Yeah.
and think about what you're going to say. And so those pauses are not as big and overshadowing as you think they are.
Mm.
And half the time the crowd doesn't notice when you're pausing or when you're saying,
Right.
They will if you say it too much though.
I like it.
But that's my advice. So we're coming up on time here, mainly because my battery's dying and we're remote. But I want to thank David for hanging out with me, and thank you guys for watching. And I'm going to turn it back over to podcast Skyler. So take it away.
David's talk was really cool, and you should definitely check it out. Next, I got to interview Adam Compton, a principal security consultant at TrustedSec. If you follow Adam's talks and get contributions, this talk on automating with Bash might seem familiar, but check out my interview with him as we discuss GrrCON 2025 and what he shared this year. Hey everybody, it's Skyler Tuda here with TrustedSec for the Security Noise podcast. We're doing something a little bit different. Today, I've got Adam Compton here. We are doing a little segment for different conferences and stuff. I've already spoken to David Boyd, who was at West Hackin Fest, and he interviewed me a little bit because I spoke as well. So now we're going to talk to Adam. Adam, you were at GrrCON this year, right?
Yeah, I was there for at least part of it.
Okay,
There
good
for
deal.
one day, but I didn't make it to both days. I made it to one day, but yes, I was there.
You just did a flyby?
Yeah.
Right on. Cool. So I don't want to divulge too much about your talk. Was it recorded this year?
I don't believe they were recording it this year, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Well, then
a lot of conferences.
Then we can probably talk a little bit more about it. I want to give everyone a chance to kind of research it. I think you had mentioned at some point that this is not the first time you've given this particular talk. Is there anywhere else somebody could go and find this talk?
Yeah. Earlier this year, I did a version of this talk down at Knoxville at the B-Sides Knoxville conference down there.
Okay.
But I also, about a month and a half ago, did a version of this as a webinar for TrustedSec. So
Oh,
it should be up
nice.
there on our site somewhere.
All right. Well, perfect time to plug TrustedSec's website,
There you go.
TrustedSec.com. And then if you go into our resources tab, you can see all of our blogs, webinars, podcasts, and check out all the content we got there. So with that, Adam, tell me about your talk. What was it about, and what kind of shenanigans did you get into?
All right. My talks tend not to be the most technical talks out there generally. I'm usually more of the human aspect of the InfoSec world and all that. This time I kind of went old school, went back to an old favorite of mine. It wasn't a super technical, but it wasn't a more story-related one. It was talking about the Bash terminal. So like doing Bash scripting, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I forget the full title to it, but it's like Bash scripting for pen testers, covering your assets or something like that. So
Nice.
the concept was that we're always sitting in a Unix terminal for the most part, Linux terminal, or whether it's on a Mac OS, whether you're on a Ubuntu, Kali, wherever.
Mhm.
Yeah, some people, weirdos, like to be out there on those Windows boxes, but I won't hold it against them. But I think you can even get a Linux for Windows now, so no harm, no foul. But the thing is I grew up when I was in high school, going into college, all that Unix systems we had, I'll use very beginning, they used SH, then we went to Bash. So that's where I cut my teeth effectively. And I've been doing Bash scripting over the years, and I still do it pretty much every engagement I'm on. I like using Bash just so that it helps automate some of to use the title of a book that is out there, which is actually a really good book, using Bash to automate the boring stuff. So going out there, and if you're going to be doing something over and over, doing a certain sequence of commands over and over, just write a simple little Bash script to do that for you. Well, I'm going over a bunch of that kind of stuff in the talk is what it was about. Nothing super cutting edge, just a bunch of gotchas, little shortcuts I learned over the years. It's more like an intro to Bash for pen testers, really. But I do plan on doing a article for our blog at some point for a more in-depth one on Pentest Bash scripting. But yeah, the main thing in there I was talking about is here's some things you can do to make it a little simpler, a little safer for you, as well as here's multiple ways to log your activities. Log it with timestamps, log it with the T command, log it with a script logging or in tmux or screen sessions, log it that way. If you're using Metasploit modules for whatever reason, there's a spool command in there. You can log everywhere. Anything I do, whether it's on a Bash script, it's a Python script, whether it's whatever, I do it because it has come back to bite me at some point in the past. I've been doing this for 25 plus years now. I've had a lot of issues, a lot of mistakes over the years. That's my whole Pentest fail storyline. But aside from that, like all the logging, I love having all the logging because even earlier this week, I had a customer come back to me from an engagement I did like a month ago saying, hey, what were you doing around this time on that date? I have the logs. I pull it up, it's all time stamped, and I stand. Well, between that time, roughly 15 minutes before or after that, this is what I was doing. Hand it off to them like, that was amazing. Thank you. Not only that, but I don't know how many times you've ever been on engagement. You get ready to go write that report, and you're like, that screenshot, I can't either find that screenshot, I cropped it too much, whatever. If you saved all the data, you're going to remake the screenshot. That's my goal there, is that it built in redundancy for human failure.
That is fantastic, because I ran into a situation that you just described like just this week, and
Yep.
it's only Wednesday.
Yeah,
Where
it happens.
because I do a lot of my Kali stuff in a VM, you know,
Mhm.
and my the computer that I use, not Windows, had an automatic update and rebooted, and it shut down my VM and did not suspend it. Like it was a hard like
Yep.
reset or something. And so I booted up and I was like, I
Oh, that
had
sucks.
like 7 terminal tabs open that had scans running, and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I was saving that, you know.
Yep. Yeah. No, whenever I start a new engagement, I have a little script I run that builds out an environment for me. It sets up my bash prompt the way I want. Whether I'm doing a new virtual machine, doing something new out on DigitalOcean, wherever I'm setting something up, I
Mhm.
run the script. It sets everything up the way I want, all my aliases, all my functions I want in there, sets up all my logging the way I like, so that as I'm going along, I don't have to think about it because I know the way I have it set up, I'm getting all these logs, all this automation already behind the scenes that's doing all that for me. And at the very end, I have a little command that it's just called end engagement. It goes through, finds all that stuff, throws it into a tar file, gzips it, and then downloads it to my system here. So I have a copy of that while I'm working on the report. So I can shut down the VMs, I can shut down whatever. I can untar that. I have all the data right there for me to parse through and whatnot. So yeah,
Are we sure that you're not AI, Adam? Because that just
that's
sounds
my
like a
goal. That's
whole
my
new
goal.
level of just efficiency.
My goal is to automate every aspect of my job if I can. It'll never happen, but that's my goal.
It still sounds like you're light years ahead of majority of the rest of us.
I like automation. I love automation where appropriate.
Mhm.
You can argue that you can't automate a full pen test. No, but you can automate significant portions of it. All the stuff that, if somebody asks you, like, what kind of things do you do on a pen test? And you start naming them off. If you can name it off that quickly, you can probably automate that.
Yeah.
Now, some of the more tricky things or the newer attacks and all that are things that you have to pull from multiple different sources. Might be trickier, might not be able to automate it, but if you automate everything else, that gives you so much more time to focus on that and the newer attacks or the more complex attacks. You get all that little scruff stuff out of the way, and now you can deal with everything else. So,
Yep. That's something you said earlier that reminded me of a quote that my my cybersecurity professor when I was in college getting my associates. So this was an undisclosed amount of time ago, but he was big on automation, and he just said, "Look, here's my rule of thumb." And this isn't just his. Like I know other people have said this in the past too, but like if you have to do something more than once, automate it,
yeah.
script it out.
Mm.
And I was like, really? And
Yep.
I mean, that's just like if you're doing a report and you know certain things have to be bold. All
Yeah.
right. Well, you can even do a hotkey. I do a ton of hotkeys and macros in my Word, and I have a library of them on my Steam Deck.
Oh,
So
no.
whenever I switch over to Word in my Windows VM, it automatically recognizes that I'm in that app and will give me all of my hotkeys. So all the things, like if we have a template and it
Right.
has the brackets, it's like, hey, pick one of these or swap it out for your own words.
Right.
Well, even my own words are generally repetitive on some reports because it's like, please describe what you did. I conducted a pen test from the perspective of an attack. You know, I have my own
Yeah,
templated
that standard
verbiage, you know?
verbiage that you're going to use time after time because you like it, it works, and
Mhm.
what have you. Yeah, absolutely. I used to try to do a little bit with my Steam Deck. I kind of got away from that for doing reporting, just because things happen. But no, I should go back to working on it more. I have it sitting right over here. I need to bust it out and start writing more macros for it for reporting.
It saved me a lot of time just having to click and highlight and change things around. But that still pales in comparison to the amount of automation that you've set up and just having like your go button, your go script
Yeah,
to set up an engagement and tear one down. Like that's insanely cool.
it's just something because, like I said, I've been doing this a long time. Have had many years to tweak and poke and prod and find out what I do like, what I don't like. And my goal here is that, and it's never going to happen because the way human nature is, but my goal is to share my knowledge, whether it's through talks like that or my Pentest files or whatever, so that others can learn from my mistakes and hopefully do better. But
That's the best you can hope for.
But if anybody's like me, they're going to hear that and go, that's awesome. I'm still going to go make those mistakes. But maybe at least now when you see that happening, you're like, hey, I've heard about this before and I know there's a solution. So you might go and might shorten your failure time down a little bit. But hey, it happens to everybody. I know I'm one of those that I would rather have hands-on failure as well as the solution. But yeah,
and if you're going to fail fast.
So I've got several GitHub repos out there of some of my automation stuff and all that. It's just hanging out there.
So I'm going to ask a hard question. What would you say the benefit of using Bash for scripting is versus another language, say like Python? Because a lot of people prefer Python when they're doing just base automation stuff.
It depends on, there's not necessarily one improvement over the other, whether you're going Bash or Python. It depends on the task that you're doing, how much complexity you want to put into it. Because I can write a 3-line Bash program or script that'll do something that I'd have to write a 30-line Python script to do, just because of all the way you have to handle everything and all that. Because Bash is a Bash script and you're running in Bash, so it automatically handles all your variables. It handles a lot of this stuff. You can have shared variables coming from other. That's one of the things is I have scripts that rely that other scripts are already existing and what have you, so that I can run one script that goes through and does like some initial recon. So it goes out and it finds who the domain controllers are and a bunch of this stuff. And it will store like a variable called domain and another variable called domain controller, something like that, in memory. So that any other time I'm wanting to run anything, I can do like netexec space, SMB space, $DC and keep going. Now it automatically has my domain controller's IP stored there. And because of that, I can have other scripts relying that or assuming that it's already going to be there and working off of that. Yes, you put sanity checks in there and all that, but you don't have that flexibility in something like Python. Now, just pure automation, yeah, you can. I've written whole automation platforms in Python as well. I started out this year going, you know what? I want to get back into Bash, so I wanted to get back into automation heavily with Bash. So I'm like, I'm just going to start doing everything in Bash this year. Even if I could do it in Python, I'm still going to do it in Bash just to build that rote memory.
It's the principle of the thing.
Ultimately, it's whatever language you're most comfortable in. If you want to do it all in Rust, do it all in Golang, do it all in whatever, do it. It's not going to hurt me any. If that's the language you know, use it. So
fair enough. I like that.
That's the main thing there. If you're wanting to do a bunch of GUIs and stuff, Bash might not be your best way to go with that. If you want to give text user interface, sure, but a nice graphical one, you can do it. You can absolutely do it, but it's going to take a little bit of effort. But
yeah, so really just do some research and know your languages at least at a 30,000 foot view, and just kind of use the one that best applies to your situation.
Yeah,
cool. So you had mentioned a second ago that you had a bunch of stuff on Git. If somebody has a question, or if they want to check out your stuff, what's your handle? How can they get a hold of you?
My general handle is Tatanus. That is TATANUS. Yes. That's my handle I've been using since mid-90s, something like that. I just feel bad trying to get rid of it at this point, but more times than not, people also find me under just Hillbilly Storytime. But generally,
I know that one.
Like my GitHub account, my Twitter account, or X account is under Tatanus, TATANUS. You can reach out to me either place there. It's github.com/Tatanus or x.com/Tatanus. You'll find me either place there. So that's the easiest.
Awesome.
TATANUS. Very much like tetanus, but with an A.
Well, that's cool, Adam. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate your time and telling us about your talk and, talking a little shop with me about scripting and automating. If you guys are interested in Adam's talk, or if you're interested in automating your work life, check out Adam's repositories and his blog posts and everything like that. We will have a link to his everything in this episode. So check it out. Back to you, podcast Skyler. I'll admit, Bash isn't my first choice when automating my tasks. However, Adam may have almost converted me during the interview. Well, I think that's it. I want to thank David and Adam for taking the time to speak with me about their talks. If you want to learn more about David and Adam, the pages are linked in the description of this episode. That's all for now. Thanks for joining us. Security Noise is a production of TrustedSec LLC. If you or your organization have questions or needs with information security, go to www.trustedsec.com. We'll see you next time.